How are you? It's a pleasure to have been invited to speak at this historic occasion, the 10-year anniversary of the 3% Conference. My name is Philip McKenzie, and I'm a cultural anthropologist, strategist, and host of the podcast, The Deep Dive. And in this conversation, I'm going to be talking about the lies that we tell ourselves. In order to create a viable future or futures, out of the volatile and unpredictable world we currently inhabit, will require a shift in the way we think about what matters and will demand a new operating system and subsequently new stories. Developing an alternative to the status quo will mean telling hard truths and centering culture above all else. A viable future will require radical honesty, trust, and compassion. If this is going to be possible, we need to reject the lies we tell ourselves in service to the status quo. Just a little bit more about myself. We know how we all love titles. I'm a cultural anthropologist, a strategist. I host a deep dive. I'm the founder of Influencer Conference, the world's first global influencer culture conference, a former managing partner of Free DMC, a multicultural experiential agency, and in what seems like another life, a former GS equity trader. Most of my career has been spent thinking and talking about culture, which of course means we have to define it. I use a couple of definitions, one being my own and the other from Grant McCracken, who is one of the renowned experts and leaders in this field. That normally culture supplies the meanings and rules which we understand and navigate the world. And normally it does this invisibly, effortlessly in real time. We don't sense culture operating in us. It just does. It's like language, it's just there. But sometimes culture is a little shaky. It has found a world it can't quite render or organize. And when this happens, wonderful things happen. And then my own definition, that design creates cultures, culture shapes values, values determine the future. That's Robert L. Peters. And then my own. Culture consists of the shared world of ideas and values that connect us and are manifested through people, places, formal and informal networks. So why lies? It seems like an odd place to start a conversation, but I remember reading a book called Lies My Teacher Told Me when I was in high school, and it pretty much changed the way I thought about the world and my place in it. And lies are the reason why the Capitol was stormed. Lies is the foundation of all the isms that we are against, whether that is racism, classism, misogyny, and all those others. So understanding the central role that lies plays in the world around us is critical. So this is why these lies matter. Lies provide social and cultural context. They are part of how resources are allocated in service to entrenching them. And the defense of the lie itself results in what I call imagination capture. It literally limits the way in which we think about what is possible in the world. When we recognize the lie, it's our responsibility to expose it, to confront it, then to imagine and build from it. So I'm going to go through a few lies, and these are not the only lies, but these are some of the more prominent lies that dominate our business landscape, particularly in marketing, advertising, media, but not solely in those spaces. Lie number one is, we're all in this together. And you can subtitle that, who is the we? Currently, there are 51 million households within the US that are struggling to serve their basic needs, defined as housing, healthcare, childcare, food, and mobile. 8 billionaires in total hold the same wealth as half of the world's poorest population. 42 people hold as much wealth as 3.7 billion people globally. And all of these numbers have changed and has been exacerbated by the recent COVID pandemic. 51% of people in the United States define themselves as feeling lonely and isolated. There is a clear lack of trust in the media, government, and education and corporations that has been on the decline for decades. And at the same time, billionaires are going into space. So again, who is the we? And are we truly all in this together? Lie number 2, that a business case for diversity, equity, inclusion will make a difference. We've been making this business case for an incredibly long time. The article in the center of this slide was written in 1996, and yet we're still faced with many of the same obstacles that we've been facing for decades. So clearly, a business case is not moving the dial. And a business case has been used to justify slavery, extraction, and other models that need to go the way of the dinosaur. So very seldom is the business case the best case. Lie number 3, that corporate America has a talent pipeline problem. Clearly, people are coming out of school and coming into the marketplace more prepared, more educated, more focused than ever before. Black women in particular are one of the most educated groups in the entire country, but yet we're still seeing the same challenges that are facing a full inclusion of these groups into the economy and into the business environment. So clearly, the talent is not the issue. What we have is a lack of willingness to engage and truly invite them to participate. Lie number 4, what gets measured matters. This is a very popular wording and ideology that has been spread around. I'm sure many of you have heard it before. It's commonly attributed to Peter Drucker that what gets measured gets managed. And this is used to justify all types of focus on data and on quantitative results. The reality is that this quote is actually part of a longer statement by Simon Kalkin in reaction to this preponderance of focus on data. And what it says in full is what gets measured gets managed, even when it's pointless to measure and management, and even if it harms the purpose of the organization to do so. So clearly we have to rethink how we're thinking about what we manage and what is important as we think about our organizational future. Lie number 5, that all of the meaning that we are capturing is in big data. Big data has all of the meaning. And what it really boils down to is that what is measurable isn't always valuable. And big data is often used to obscure our basic humanity, and it entrenches power and extraction. Lie number 6, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. And this is by Martin Luther King. Again, one of these phrases and statements that is used all the time to point us towards seemingly a future that is viable and works for all of us. But the reality is that the arc of the moral universe does not always bend toward justice, that it requires work and attention and focus by all of us in order to get there. And the reality is that even as he believed this, Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated April 4th in 1968. And we are still, again, dealing with many of the challenges, many of the focus on extraction and late-stage capitalism that brought him to his untimely death. So having faced down these lies, and like I mentioned at the beginning, this is just a few of the lies that dominate our cultural conversations. What can we do about it? We have to determine that we are fed up with these lies and that we're willing to confront them. And we have to create a new story, a story that's based on humanity-centered design and the corresponding values. We have to focus on justice, trust, compassion, joy, solidarity, and radical honesty. Only by centering on those values can we confront the lies and start to tell a new story, a viable future that is critical to us maximizing all of our abilities and transforming the spaces that we live in and work in every day. This is the purpose of the 3% Conference and all of our collective work and struggle. I prefer to always end these conversations with a quote from one of my intellectual superheroes, that another world is not only possible, she's on her way. And on a quiet day, I can hear her breathing. And this is from Arundhati Roy. All of the values that I've discussed and talked about are part of creating and crafting that other world that we can all hear breathing. As long as we continue to propagate and share these popular notions and lies, we won't be able to move forward and create that better day. But I have confidence that as long as we can hear her breathing, we can get there. I want to thank all of you for spending this time with me. And again, sharing congratulations to the 10-year anniversary for the 3% Conference. And again, nothing but gratitude for inviting me here and sharing these words with you.